is not the art, but the combat that you enjoy.
Yo, welcome to another episode of the Justion podcast. Today I have sitting with me MMA referee Justin Smith.
That's right. How's it, man?
I'm lekker, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
First of all, I spotted UFO over there on your t-shirt. We're not going to get into conspiracy theories. We'll first get into the MMA. How I first came into, I think I've seen you before, and then what really got me interested and wanted to speak to you was the content that you've been putting out recently, and the Instagram post that you've been putting out recently, to be more specific. So I think before we cover that, tell me how you got into MMA. What got you started? Like, the MMA wasn't around 10 years ago. 10 years ago, boxing was out. MMA was around, but wasn't as popular as now.
As it is now, 100%, yeah.
So maybe 10 years ago, people were doing MMA, but it was still very fringes.
We didn't know about it.
Even 15 years ago. So how did you get into the sport in America?
So, it's crazy, no? So, how I started getting into MMA, I was in varsity in around 2006, 2009, I think I graduated. I was in varsity, and then we didn't have internet at home and stuff like that. I don't know if you remember back in the day. Internet was
on you get it at Tech and stuff like that.
So my friends and I usually after class we would like LAN, play Call of Duty and stuff like that. And then we would
tournament.
And YouTube would come around, and then eventually Facebook came around. Then one day I was busy YouTubing, I can't remember what, and I came across fights, you know. Now it all makes sense to you if I tell you where I come from, because I'm from Mitchell's Plain. And fighting it's a thing that happens on a daily basis, you know.
But what is the first fight that you saw on YouTube? I think I can guess, but
so the first fight that I saw was not a known fight. It was actually an underground fight, right? A cage fight. It was underground, and these guys were chatting, and I'm like, "Yo, this look quiet." They were in a cage and stuff, and then I started looking up fights, and then crazy. And I didn't know it at the time. I came across Boy Masvidal. Yeah, when he was still street fighting, you know, backyard.
I remember.
Like that. And the other dude that also joined the
Kimbo.
That
was how it is.
Yes,
that's what I first saw Kimbo. We were like doing that street fighting with that backyard fighting.
Rules, yeah.
And then he punched the one eye like it, the one cop's eye like it. That was messed up. And it was Boy Masvidal.
So that's essentially how I started getting into like the fight scene and starting to watch fights. And then I think probably like a year or so later, because what I used to do, because I had a computer at home, so I would download the fights and I would watch it. You know? So I would watch all those fights, like these street fights and stuff like that. And then eventually, like, you know, things start improving and progressing. And the first guy that I really saw fight MMA was Brock Lesnar.
Frank Ma.
Probably, but Brock Lesnar, because I knew he was from WWE. So I'm like, Brock Lesnar's fighting. This looks quite. And he's doing
Do you know how we could get access to this guy? Because those were fights that was on YouTube. That's how I'm so. Everything that you say now I was familiar with, because 100%. We didn't have it on DSTV and stuff like that. So the first fights that we were getting was YouTube fights, and that's why everything that you say, 100%
like,
I relate to. It was, I think one of the first ones was Brock Lesnar, and there was Frank Mir where he put him in an armbar, and it's the first time I saw something like it, and I was like, oh, this is a real shit, because it was like, oh, I saw the stuff in a movie. I think in like in Lethal Weapon, in one of the Lethal Weapons, somebody does like a triangle. What's his name? Mel Gibson does a triangle, but you never ever
didn't know what it was.
No, but you never think that is for real. You always think it's movie shit. And then when I saw an armbar in like a real fight, I was like, oh, okay, this is legit. This is legit.
So that's how I started watching MMA. You know, and I started watching obviously UFC, which was the first that we could access via
it was YouTube,
back in the day. So
So
yeah.
when did you start training?
So I think
Because once you saw the fights now on the
100%.
YouTube, now you're like, okay, I need to do this.
Exactly.
Like back in the day, we used to watch the karate movies. Then we go outside.
I was
yeah,
practicing
try it
karate,
your cousin. So where did you go find the MMA?
yeah. So I graduated.
Fights.
So I graduated 2009, alright, and so I stayed in Mitchell's Plain, you know, for most of my life, and we didn't have MMA, you know, and I wasn't very familiar with kickboxing, and even though I've got a lot of respect for boxing now, I didn't like boxing when I was growing up.
Why not?
To me, boxing, I had a very short attention span, man, and watching boxing, like.
Sure, you never watched boxing.
I didn't.
Okay, maybe because you didn't understand it, myself.
I didn't understand it, and my family and like my grandparents, they were watching the stuff, you know, and you would sit there for. I'm like, yo, when is this thing over? It's 9:15 rounds. So my attention span was very short, and that's why I love MMA, because people can get knocked out in seconds with fights.
So it was quicker.
It was that's what attracted me, and I'm like, yo, I need to do this. So after I graduated from varsity, I'm like, okay, I can now start finding myself. I'm gonna go look for a gym because now I really want to train. So I was about 26 roughly, and again, internet was fairly new. It was a couple of years old, so not everybody had websites. Or if you didn't know somebody that was training, you wouldn't know that there is a mixed martial arts gym somewhere.
Like close by.
Exactly. So I started Googling whatever it was back then, and I came across Dragon Power, the Muay Thai gym.
Okay.
So eventually I signed up with Quinton and with Winston Chong, and that's where I started my journey. Okay. So I started with Muay Thai. I trained there for quite a period of time.
They were quite popular at the time.
There
was a lot of people that came out of Dragon Power. They started their journey there.
I remember Guy Lazarus. When I walked into the door, Guy Lazarus, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the guys that was training there.
Is it?
Yeah. He's training now up in Quan Wissels, I think he's training with
There's this other guy, his name is Rian van der Wester, I don't know if you know who he is. But anyway, but he was, I did a podcast with him back in the day, and he was training there. But he was actually quite popular Muay Thai fighter, and he actually got his SA colours.
It sounds familiar.
South African colours. And then he had something happened, he got knocked out in a fight, and they did like a MRI or something on him. And when they did an MRI on him, they discovered that he had a brain tumor. Damn. Cancer's brain tumor. And that guy's still fighting brain cancer today, like his tumor. Every time he goes, I see sometimes and he says, I won the battle. And I mean, this is going on years now, but he was a big time kickboxer. Also, like Dragon Power, there's many people that I've spoken to, they start their journey. So you start your journey at Dragon Power, what next?
Yeah, man, so I changed jobs because I was working in Pinelands and they were training out in the CBD.
Yeah.
You know, we were close to we around the corner from where Madford is actually.
Yeah,
now.
where Mercury used to be. People know it as Mercury, I think. And say there used to be a club there close by, so it was popular.
No,
right next door. Yeah, they were right close to it. But yes, around the corner from PFA, Amazon is there now. Roland's, close to Roland
Street, yes, Roland Street. So just around the corner from there. So I changed jobs and I moved out to Belleville. Right, so I'm like, traveling there was I was schlep. Then I started searching again, and I came across Lethal Edge MMA, which back then was Dean Johnson. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dean Johnson, but he was very popular in that environment. Sean De Lange trained out of his gym. I don't know if you know Sean De Lange.
Yes. The 14
UFC. And Dwayne, I can't remember what Dwayne's surname is. So they trained out of his gym, so that was relatively close for me. Okay, so then I left Muay Thai, and again I wanted to do MMA, right? Even though like I loved Muay Thai, you know, but I wanted to do MMA because that's what I started watching UFC, and because like I said, my attention span is very short, man. Like I want to see this thing happen, and then if it takes too long, then I get agitated, basically. So I transitioned. I went to Lethal Edge MMA, and that's where I basically started my journey with MMA. I was training with him for about 4 or 5 years.
So his focus was MMA. His focus wasn't like Muay Thai or kickboxing. His focus was MMA.
It was MMA.
And that's when you first started to do probably grappling as well.
Grappling, yeah.
So did he do like a jiu-jitsu class or something like that?
He did, and Gary King. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gary King. He's a very prominent and popular, and very respected jiu-jitsu black belt here in Cape Town.
Okay.
So he was our jiu-jitsu coach.
Okay.
Back then.
So that's when you started the grappling side of things.
Exactly.
Because now once you go from stand-up to grappling things, your brain starts moving in a different direction.
100%. And I love that, man. I love that whole combination.
Yeah.
You know, the standing and then going to the ground and all of the stuff. And the crazy thing with grappling back then is we didn't train gi, you know. So I was doing grappling for a long time, for years, before I transitioned to gi.
Okay. So you were just no gi?
It was just no gi. It was like pure MMA based grappling, and obviously because he was training those guys that were professionals, you know. So that was the foundation. And he was training quite a bit of stuntmen, so a lot of the stuntmen that you know, they were all training with Dean, they were all training with him. He's also a stuntman now. So I've seen him in a couple of movies.
Okay. I saw some stuntmen as well. Gary Joshua and Grant Powell is also a stuntman.
Grant Powell, yeah. So I've had engagements with him. Obviously, they didn't know who I was, and they were also fairly young in their stunt. I think they just started out their stunting careers back then. So we've had a couple of training sessions. I know Gary Joshua very well, obviously. But they were starting out their stuntman careers, so I had engagement because they used to train with the Saturdays and stuff, you know. And
Yeah, so then when did so you were training MMA, when did you actually gravitate to the refereeing side of things?
That was a long way down the line. So
you were training for a long time before you decided to move
to officiate. Yeah. I was training, and I was training to compete. So I was 27, somewhere between 27 and like 31, 32. So in that time, I was training, and I was training to compete, right? But again, we didn't have as many MMA promotions like we have now.
Oh, you can't fight every week. I think that the guys coming up now, they spoiled.
They spoiled.
They don't know.
They have no idea how much we struggled back in the day.
I think even if you go back to, in fact, he used to if I speak to him, like even he said like he used to like have to fight like once every 3 months. And like now the guys can fight every month if you want to, like.
Exactly.
Imagine if you like an amateur and you fighting 4 times a year as opposed to fighting 12 times a year. It's a big change, like.
And especially as an amateur, because you need to build up your record and your experience, you know. I think you like somewhere between 10 and 15 fights you need to have as an amateur before you can start transitioning into professional fighting.
I think it's important that people also realize that you see, people don't think like, there's a referee, what does he know? And it's important to know that referees actually train, like lots of the referees train jits. They understand a lot of what's going down.
100%.
They study fights, they look at fights all the time. I think people maybe overlook that, so that's also why I also want to get you on board to chat to the referees, because people need to realize, hey, these are people that need to be respected. They have training. The referees and the judges know, been there for a while. And specifically in Cape Town, I think it's done very, very well. Eh? Even how the fights, the judging, the amateur level, it's like everything is going clean, going good. Like, nice. This is how we build a liquor organization.
I can tell you that if I'm thinking about most of those guys, probably 99%, there's probably like one of the officials that I'm not sure if they train. They have trained. Even Steve-O has a K1 background. Steve was the big guy, the head official.
Okay.
Even he's got a martial arts background. So all of those guys around the cage and in the cage.
Okay, but it's not necessarily MMA, but they could be like karate and so on.
Some form, yeah.
Like
Okay,
official thing.
I know he did grappling also. He used, if I speak under correction, but I think he trained like with Anthony Kittle and those guys.
Okay.
Because they obviously the caliber of guys or the generation that came even before us, you know. So everybody there has got some form of experience in martial arts, whether it's K1, grappling, Muay Thai. Oh, he trained Muay Thai. I remember we spoke about it. He trained Muay Thai at some stage as well.
I think they had a problem, and they always bring this up on podcasts of this one judge, Adelaide Bird. Are you familiar with that?
No.
If you just Google it, she's like notorious. This judge, she's a judge specifically in boxing fights. Oh, and she's the worst, bro. But it's like somebody that it's very difficult if you haven't trained or you're not still training or you're not officiating or you're not watching current fights to give input like. But yeah, that is where you come in, and I think it seems that you're always sort of polishing up on your knowledge, like the info that you've been given recently, like on the one Instagram reel you gave, you said, okay, I need to just correct myself here because of this, that, and the others. Are like, I like that. I like that. It's like that you're going back and reviewing things and then coming and having a look at it again.
100%. And people have been reaching out to me, also saying, we like what you're doing. And for me, the aim was to educate people.
Yeah.
That was fundamentals, is to educate people, because I see people get agitated and they get angry because they don't understand the rules and they don't see what we see as officials, because we look for very specific things, So that's basically where it started for me, as in starting the Instagram and TikTok information pages. So just to get back to how I got into it. So I was training for a couple of fights, K1 fights initially. And I had one fight, my very first fight. Now it was at Tritanga Junction at Ray's Muay Thai. She had
I know Ray's.
Yeah. So I was.
She's here from Adi actually.
Yeah.
It's just a plantation, not too far away.
I know where they are, yeah, because I've been at their events also in the past.
Oh, okay.
So I was competing at one of our events, and that was the very first time that I competed. So it was K1, and then from there I'm like, I need to do this again. Because I can't do, there wasn't MMA, I think CFL was the only thing that was around. And CFL wasn't every month, it was. Yeah, and you had to be a certain caliber.
Yes, you had to be a good fighter.
You had to work your way up.
You had to be like, you couldn't be like trying out your first time.
It can't be your first.
You had to have a few fights.
It can't be your first fight, yeah. And the goal was CFL. The goal for me was CFL back in the day. And then I consistently trained and I was like, dude, I was fit. I was fight fit. And then I started getting injured. You started getting injured in training, and dude, I must tell you all the injuries I had. Knee, ACL was torn, not completely ripped, but that was torn. My big toe, ligaments torn in my big toe. My AC in my shoulder.
Pop come out?
No, it ripped, it tore.
Did your shoulder come out of socket?
No, I didn't pop out. But there's like a little bump here. My shoulders aren't like the same because the AC, it was torn. It was also just hanging onto like a.
My shoulder pops out all the time.
Is it?
Yeah, comes right out of the socket.
I got injured here. It's like muscle between your groin and your hip.
Yes.
This too, I had many bruised ribs over the years. So constantly I was training, but I wasn't training with the understanding that recovery is important. I was just going hard all the time, rolling and doing stand-up, whatever. And then I would get injured. And then I was prepping for a fight, and that's when I first started getting injured. I remember Dwayne, we were sparring. He was one of the OSET fought in EFC. We was sparring, and he swept me. I can't remember how it happened, and that's where I tore the ligaments in my big toe. So I was out, you know. I'm like, Aish. Now I start recovering, 6 months, whatever, you're out. Eventually I got back, started training again. That's when my knee happened, you know, and it just became a lengthy thing every time you get injured and injured. And then a couple of years goes by, I think like 2 years or so, and I start training again. And I competed at another promotion. I can't remember what the name was, but I competed at another promotion. So I was like, oh no, this is going lekker. And then I start training again, and then my name gets eventually put on the list for CFL. I'm like, here's my opportunity. Who's now? No? I train 2 weeks out of CFL, and this is when this spot ripped here and my shoulder or something like that. I just like, this whole side was out of action. I still remember Ivan de Vries, and you know how it is when fighters pull out, you know. Why are you pulling out? What's the reason we need? Otherwise we're going to fine you. Da, da, da. So I had my doctor, I had to write a note and all of that thing that I needed to submit to say he tore this muscles, and I submitted it to CFL. And that was effectively it for me. I think I was like 31 by that time already.
So you're like, nah, this is it.
So I'm like, ish man, I still want to contribute to the sport because I love the sport, you know. I want to be involved in the sport. And then I started doing the media coverage, you know, in Fundi back in the day. So I covered UFC and the local promotions, and I interviewed fighters like Faiz and all of these other hooks. And then time goes by and I'm like, oh man, I've invested so much money and stuff into this. I mean, you would know how much this stuff costs. I don't think people understand how. And a couple of years goes by and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I got married and started a family and all of those things. So I'm like,
I know the thing. I was out for a while.
100%. 2018, 2019, just before COVID, I'm like, I want to be an official. I want to get involved in sport. I want to continue contributing, you know. And then spoke to Steve and said, okay, we can do a course. You can start shadowing. Da, da, da. So from 2018, I started shadowing, and then eventually I did the course. You know, and I think 2018, 2019, I got certified as a judge. And then COVID must happen and all of
so
that
it's
stuff.
like a whole lot of years.
And here we go again.
And it was like 3 years of dead before, maybe in the last 2 years it started to pick up.
Yeah, man, thank you. Thanks to Lyndon. She
started to pick things up again.
She did amazing work. It started with grassroots.
Okay.
And from there, just picked up to where it is now.
Yeah, and now we're on to a whole new trajectory of things. And I see you get involved a lot in the kids side of things. Just break it down to me how you got involved in that side of things. Because I've got 2 kids. I've got a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. So this is gonna get controversial. I've always insisted that they do jiu-jitsu. You don't need to do striking because you see this is where I start to get controversial. I don't think necessarily kids have to know how to strike at a young age. But I do think it's beneficial for kids to learn how to grapple at a young age. The reason why, and there's a lot of tests and studies done on this, is that when kids grapple with each other, it's actually a good thing. When you pull in and push in and stuff like that, it's a good thing. Okay. It's a good way to get your just get things out of you. It's a release, it's a good release. So that's good. But hitting is not is not good always. So if they learn how to strike at a young age, and especially how to hit at a young age, I don't always think it's a good thing. But listen, that's my opinion, and everybody is open to their opinion. So my kids now to grapple, and now I think they sort of mature enough to learn how to strike. So now they sort of getting into the striking side of things. But now I'm a young dad coming to you and asking. I'm a young dad. I'm a old dad. So I'm a dad coming to you, and And I'm asking you, like, what is the best way for me to start them into to the next stage of things? Because now they're going to get into MMA. And this is where, how do I go about getting them into MMA?
So a lot of people have different opinions on this, and I've been researching over the years, and this is my take on it, right? Everybody else has a different opinion, but this is my take. So I love jits, right? So because I'm also in the jits environment or the community, so I would want my daughter, because I've got a 2-year-old, three. She's turning 4. She's 3 years old. So I said when she turns 4, she has to go to jits. Right? There's no compromise. But if I have to give you an unbiased opinion or an unbiased format, this would be my format of introducing kids into jits. I would start with judo. Right? I would start with judo. Yeah.
Interesting.
So the thing with judo is that you can be how small you can learn how to throw a big person, because you
and takedowns is very important, especially very important in the MMA side of things. But okay, continue. So you start with judo.
So I would start with judo, right, and then I would transition to jits.
Okay.
Right, that would be my second. Then the third, I would choose a striking martial arts, right, or judo, jits or wrestling, right. So that would be
wrestling is also good, right?
Jits or wrestling
for boys especially.
100%, man.
But it's almost like the jits is good for the girls and the wrestling is good for the boys. The reason why, because like, we don't want to say this, but if somebody gets on top of you for a girl, that can be very dangerous for that person trying to get on top of that girl. Exactly. If that girl knows jiu-jitsu, because your arm bars are there, your triangles are there, you're opening up things for. It's a good way for a girl to be smaller and take down a bigger opponent.
Exactly. And then thirdly, so like I said, judo, wrestling or jits, and then one of the striking martial arts. So Muay Thai or K1, and then maybe Taekwondo after that, for those fancy kicks and those fancy footworks and stuff like that.
When do you think it's so competition wise, like how young do you think it's good as they should start to get? Because I see some of the competitions are quite
young, nah?
Young, nowadays.
So this is
what do you think is the ideal age for them to start competing? Do you think 5 years old, or is it depending on the person?
I think it's dependent on the parents and the coaches. I think everybody is entitled to what they feel. At the end of the day, it's personal preference. The thing that I like about the IMF rules when it comes to MMA is that they've taken that into consideration, and that's a big deal. And a lot of people ask me about striking to the head and why they're not allowed to.
I think you must explain it for those people that don't know. So for the IMF rules, you're not allowed to hit to the head. You're only allowed to hit to the body.
100%.
Which is like, I think that's alone of a very good way of. Because if you just tag into the body, I mean, it's not somebody can't like.
Yeah.
They can't really do much damage if they hit you like to your body, the head. And that's where it starts to get dangerous. Or legs or something, but I mean...
Yeah, and the argument, a lot of people say, but if you're in a street fight or if people want to attack you, then they're going to punch you to the head and stuff. This isn't a street fight. This is development. This is a sport, The fact that child knows how to strike is already a plus compared to the guy that's going to challenge him on the street. And he knows how to grapple at the end of the day. With the youth MMA, right? So I think 10 years old now, Youth D, because last year they introduced Youth D, which is younger. So 12 is under 13, then you get your under 15, 13, 14, under 15, and then you get the under 18s,
Yeah.
So it's from under 18 it's A, then it's B, then it's C. So last year they introduced Youth D, which is about 11 years old, right? And I think we've had one or two fights over the past year.
So 10, 11.
In the 10, yeah. I think there was just, in the past year, we've had about 1 or 2.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, quite
fights.
interesting. My son has done jiu-jitsu from a younger age, like 6 years old or something like that. He's getting 10 years old now. He's only interested in striking. he doesn't care about, he thinks jiu-jitsu is like, nah, this jiu-jitsu is like whack. So he goes to, I took him a few times to, he's been to the boxing and he's been also to troublemaker as well. He loves that there. Eating and kicking, the striking, that's his thing. He doesn't want to know anything about the jiu-jitsu. I told him, I think the fighters might always end up here. Yeah. But that's what, I think boys gravitate to that generally more.
We fought as kids. I don't know about you, but growing up in the Cape Flats, we fought. I mean, when Fakir speaks about growing up in Mitchell's Plain and stuff, no? It's like, it resonates with me, man. I remember, no? We were kids, like around 10 years old, and then there was this creche on the corner where we stayed. Now, obviously on weekends the creche is empty. So then the bigger
we as South Africans bold for Angola. How do we send a strong contingent to Angola?
Yeah.
The reason how we do that is at grassroots, at bare bones level. When you guys are fighting at bare bones level, there is a bigger prize. They are looking at you and deciding, okay, that guy's ready for the Africa Games or something like that. So I think it's good that this knowledge is out there. It's like, guys, there is a path for you. There was not a path for you before.
There wasn't a path before you. So
now there is paths for you to follow this amateur level, this amateur route, get to a stage. Okay, now I'm ready. Let's go pro.
100%. And we've actually had nationals now about a month ago or so. So I was down in Joburg. What part of Joburg was that? I can't remember, but I know it was somewhere in Joburg. We're like an hour out of the CBD.
Jeez.
So we had nationals down there, and we had quite a bunch of our Western Cape athletes that competed, and they did extremely well up there at nationals. So how it works is you compete at grassroots, or you compete at these amateur events, right? Then there's an opportunity for you to go to trials. Okay, so there's a Western Cape board that does trials, and then you'll train and you'll compete against the other guys that are coming for trials, right? Then the coaches will select athletes for nationals. Okay?
Yes.
So when we speak national, we're going as Western Cape. So it's not PFA against Madford or
everybody is.
So we all want him. We had Mikey up there, we had Don up there, we had Linda up there, we had Irfan up there. All of those coaches, amongst others, who had athletes out of their gym, but essentially, and now, this is going to sound very like emo, but it's so beautiful to see that these Western guys come together.
It is beautiful. That's the reason. Because this is the 1 week Mikey and Don was best friends at that event. The next week they got two fighters fighting each other. But they still like hug and everybody's like liquor. It's brilliant. It's important that these gyms and the coaches of these gyms are having these type of they have a good sort of energy. There's a good energy that they put into it. They're not doing it from a they're not doing it from a money making point of view or a dodgy point of view. And if you look back, like, I'm not talking bad about Dragon Power or anything, but during that time there was a lot of gyms in Cape Town that was more looking for looking after themselves than trying to build the sport. Exactly. Put it that way.
Yeah, so I like the mindset, At the end of the day, once you get back, these guys need to look after themselves, and they need to look after like the not just the athletes, but giving out game plans and stuff. You can't like just completely divulge that. Because tomorrow, next week your athletes are fighting against the other oaks, But it's nice to see that there is a sense of camaraderie, when it's we all, even me, as an official. So I was the only official that was there in an official capacity, for that represents the Western Cape. You know?
Okay.
So, because Linda was a coach. So,
Oh, was she a coach?
she was a
How
coach.
come Ethan didn't go? So there's more fight. There's a whole lot of you guys then.
The costing, man.
Okay.
You have to fund money out of your own pocket.
Do you have to
because-
take a? You see, this is the problem.
And
This is
that's
the
a big
problem.
challenge. Even the athletes, I saw Irfan doing like fundraisers and stuff for his
saw that,
athletes, you know, to get them up there. So even for me, I needed to get myself there, and costing is quite a bit, you know, for transport. And then I made arrangements with the Oaks, you know, for like accommodation and for a lift from the airports or from wherever. So those type of things needs to be, you know, it eats out of your pocket, and especially for these young Oaks and their parents. And it's like any other amateur sport, where the parents have to fork out money for the kids to travel or to become. And that's also why we might not be able to see all our young athletes travel internationally or travel to nationals, you know.
Yeah. The EFC Knox Legacy Series was here in Cape Town, and they invited. I don't know if you were there, but they invited us there to the media day.
No,
Were you there?
no, I wasn't at the media.
At the
I was
hotel.
press conference.
It was at the media day press conference. They had the Maya there and Trickers there and all that. And I asked the Maya is, hey, don't forget to vote on the 24th the 4th of November, so 24th of November, on the 4th of November. So I asked the Maya, hey Maya, what are you guys gonna do for like MMA at grassroots level? And he said, like, you know, in certain terms, like, listen here, you guys have to sort yourselves out. Like, he said it like just like that, and then I was just thinking, like, oh shit, nobody's gonna do anything, nobody's gonna sort it out. And it wasn't long after that then I saw, and I think Lindela was already doing her work that before the time, but after that event, you know, there's just been a massive buzz around MMA in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Fighting generally. I see, in the fighting gyms, yeah, people is running, they warming up, that's alright, they can keep warming up. But the MMA fighting part of things is now sort of taking off, and there's a lot of people gravitating to even become spectators and not just fighters, which is awesome, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
The people watching, just eyes on the sport, which is amazing.
We need numbers. We need numbers. I think the other day I saw, who was it? Dave Venter, and he's part of the K1, I think he's part, and they eventually got funding. I'm not sure of the amount, but I mean anything, you know, when it comes to K1 or Muay Thai, if we can get, or MMA, if we can get funding for our athletes or for the sport, you know, from government, I think it's
it doesn't
big
even
thing.
need to be from government, it can even be from private sector.
Or
Like
from private
Knox, come on guys, throw us a buck here.
Leave
Put
money.
Knox bare bones, put Knox's name on bare bones and give Lindela.
That would be.
Don't even give her a lot, just give her something. Like a small amount would be like to cover, like I'm sure there's a lot of cost coverage there. But there'd also maybe be like, okay, now let's have, is there pro fights on the card? No, right?
No. So all
But maybe
are because because of the rules and the regulations. So when we compete amateur level, so we don't. I don't know if you remember back in the day we had pro am.
yes,
There was pro.
I remember pro
So we
am.
don't have pro am anymore. We get senior now.
I know pro am. You in boxing,
You don't get
pro
pro
am,
am
don't you?
in MMA anymore.
But then you get boxing still pro am in boxing.
I don't know. Like I said earlier, I don't really follow boxing,
okay.
man, because my attention span is so short. It's limited to one sport.
Okay.
I don't even follow other sports really, like soccer or rugby. I only
Same.
follow MMA.
Same.
It's the only thing.
I can't get the time for, and it's too much to remember. There's too much going on in MMA to take on another sport. Like, you know, the soccer dudes, they can like rugby and they can, but there's so much around just MMA. I mean, there's the wrestling component of it, because now you can watch a ref Then there's the, and so I also watch even when I watch the boxing because I think, hey, I see certain things, but I've always liked boxing. I don't know why.
Look, I'll tell you, and I'll say this again. I've got a lot of respect for boxing, and I'll tell you why. I used to spar with boxers, right? So now, if you a striker, so you do legs and some Muay Thai or K1, and you spar with someone that is pure boxing, dude, it's a different. So now you can't kick, right? And you can't grapple. So now we're sparring. I remember I still sparred with this young guy. His name was Cameron. Right? I can't get his surname now, dude. And I was fairly fit, and because I was active. I didn't get in one shot, not one. We're just doing boxing. That guy was running circles around me. So I've got a lot of respect for boxing. So when you speak boxing purely, I understand the discipline. I understand why they call it the science. And other boxers that I've sparred with as well, it's completely different. Now, once you start integrating the legs and the arms and grappling, then I can start talking with,
Back in the day, like I don't know how you don't like boxing, because back in the day I used to get, my uncle had videotapes of Mike Tyson, and I've seen it like since then. They used to get these videotapes like ESPN, like knockouts. So there's like a whole lot of clips of him beating fighters in like less than 60 seconds. Or 60 seconds, or like a minute, or a minute and a half, or something like it. It was something like it. And this is how I used to watch that. Like, I was like, oh shit! That used to be my knockouts and stuff like it.
I learned about Mike Tyson very late. I was like quite a bit older. I was already like, because my father was a big soccer fan, so he was probably watching soccer or something like that. I know my grandparents, like my grandma, used to watch boxing, so I was still a lighty back then. I'm like, oh, this is so boring. In fact, I did karate when I was like 11, 12 years old. I did it like for 2 weeks, and I was like,
too boring.
I
I think a lot of us did karate when we were younger, but now, so Frank on the previous podcast told me about this Kenkushin gym.
Yeah.
Like, it's just around the corner. It's like literally just down the road here, so I might take my son to check it out. But it's very interesting, and I like where the sport is going to. It, like, and I like your input. Like, so you told me maybe off camera, like, what is your, you said it so lekker to me, like, what's your goal for this podcast? You ask me, it's actually such a vision. Yeah, what's your vision? That's it. I thought, it's such a brilliant question to ask somebody. So I want to ask you the question: what is your vision for your refereeing, or in an ideal world?
What is for refereeing or for the content that I'm pushing out?
I think for refereeing more. The content, I think everybody's doing the content, and that's the educational side of things is awesome because you're doing it differently.
Yeah.
But from the refereeing side, I think it means more. Okay. Here's something I want to put it. To me, a content creator is over here, and an actor acting in a movie, doing acting like that. Like YouTubers and people making YouTube, they because it's an art form. Yes, I know people say, creating content is an art form, but there is more art in something else. I feel Joe Rogan said this, the second most important person in the fight is the referee. The fighters and then the referee.
Yeah.
So I feel that is very important. So that's how I asked the question around referee.
So, let me rectify Joe. No, I'm joking. So, the ref is seen as extremely important, obviously, in the ring. So in the cage, right, the ref, he runs the show.
Yes.
And it's not from a...
is he the most important, do you think?
He is.
And then the fighters...
In the cage, and I'll explain to you why. It's not that... It's not a ego thing, or it's a I own this, but the ref's primary job, and I tell people this all the time, our job, or a ref's job, is to look out for the safety of the athletes. That's the number one rule. Every other rule is second to that. The primary rule, the primary objective of a ref Because we can have you fight and there's no ref, right? And then you guys can fight and people can hurt each other and all of those things. But the primary reason why a ref is there is to watch out for the safety. We see things, and if you see some of the videos that Bearbones post, that I post, where we have the ref's view, just go and check it out. No? We see things that people don't see outside. We see things that coaches don't see, that parents don't see, that fans don't see. There's sometimes where I see people, no, like they're getting choked or they get knocked, and you see just that, no, you just like the white, and you see it for a split second because then they get back, you know, and then usually that's a thing to fitness and stuff. But you see the eyes rolling back, so that's when you start, hey, preparing to jump in, you know, that thing, that type of thing. Is if he lands now, is the fighter gonna land another shot? Is it gonna be too much shots? You know, is he unconscious? How long has, if the guy puts on a rear naked choke or something, how long has he been out for? Is it 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you know? So all of those things, you need to be like extremely alert. So that's why the ref is being regarded as the important person inside the cage. Not from a fight perspective, not from an ego perspective or whatever. It's merely from safety for athletes, okay? I might be wrong. That's how I
agree with
understood.
you. No, I agree with you. I like it. And I think that respect should be given to. There should be like somebody that's like, yo, in charge, and that respect should be given to that, because that creates the order. And without that, then we just have like a street fight. You know
exactly,
what I mean? And that's not what we're here to do. We're here to do a sport. So I like what you say, and I agree with you. Yeah, that should be the respect should be given to that person, as like you respecters, the fighters respect each other. Yes, we understand that. But the utmost respect goes to the referee in this moment and
look,
time.
Probably all of the guys that get in the ring can whoop my ass. I'm not gonna deny it.
No, that's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with respect, and are you and something I speak about time and time again is like the martial artist. Are you a martial artist or are you just a cage fighter or something like that? If you conduct yourself like a cage fighter, people's gonna treat you like a cage fighter. If you conduct yourself like a martial artist, people's gonna treat you that way. I try to tell my kids all the time, hey, these guys these are not everyday kids. These are martial artists. There's a way that you have to conduct yourself.
Exactly.
Like you have training to do things other people can't do. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And the referee with great power, he's responsible for 2 lives. So I think you're right.
You really are, because if something goes wrong, no, it's not just your reputation that goes out of the window. It's one of those athletes' lives or something, brain damage, whatever the case is. We don't want to focus on that, but those are things that could happen, you know. So you really are responsible for 2 people's lives in there, and that's always how I look at it. It's obviously firstly about them, and I have to be sure that whatever I'm looking at, everything is like I'm focused 100%. Like things are happening around the cage. You know, most of the time now, I can't hear anything. I like fighters will also tell you, like when they're in the zone, they can't hear. Even me as a ref, I can't really hear because I'm so focused on what's going on here that I tend to block out here and there. I will hear stuff, comments and whatever the case is. But most of the time, I don't. I'm in the zone. I can't hear things because I'm focused 100% on what's going on here.
You're in the flow state.
Exactly.
That's very important. That's very important to be there, like that, because I mean, any tiny distraction can take you away from that, and then you can miss something that like you just said, like can cost somebody what, you know. We don't want to go there. That's quite interesting. I always respected the referees, but the way that you articulated that is actually quite nice. It's a good way to put it, like, and I think it's good for the young athletes to hear that. So when they come to the ring, there's no, they must approach. And look, if we look even now, if we look in the amateur, all the athletes are conducting themselves You know what I mean? There's no like you know what I mean? If the one lose, the other one win. There's no disrespect. I haven't seen it.
So
Have you seen it?
previously, but like also recently, and I'll also again tell you why, because we got fighter briefings, and maybe one day you should join the fighter.
I was there.
briefings.
I was the last one there at the UMC one.
So what happens is they will discuss the rules and the regulations and what's going to happen if you break the rules. So a couple of guys have done it over the years, and here and there they still do it. With a break like the rules, jump on the fence, swear at the opponent, and they get fined. You get fined, you get penalized, there's a fine. And
I don't think it's very, like the swearing at each other and stuff like that, that's not very popular, is it? The back and forth?
No, it's not anymore.
But it has happened?
But it has happened. I was in
Interesting.
the ring when I had an athlete that was swearing at his opponent. He lost the fight, but he was swearing at his opponent, and I'm like, hey, this isn't,
come
you know.
on now.
And then
So
obviously
loser.
he reported it to the head official, and you get fined.
Okay.
And sometimes so they impede sanctions on you, and they can also ban you from a promotion. So it doesn't benefit you as an
Do
athlete.
they ban the gym?
You can, depends on the situation, but most of the times the athlete can be banned. So if you are the one that's committing the offense, right, then your gym will get fined, right? So you can do something, you can jump on the cage, you can swear, your gym is going to be fined, right? So accountability sits with the coach, because you need to coach and train your fighter how to act around the cage and in a fight, and you know, those type of scenarios. And if that doesn't go, if the coach doesn't take initiative, or they like, if you guys and this is my fight or whatever, if they've got that kind of mentality, then they can be essentially banned from an event as well. So the promotion at the
And
end
that
of the
has
day-
happened before.
It has happened on both spectrums, but not at the same time, or not for the same reasons. So we've had occasions where like fighters get banned, and then there's been occasions where like coaches have been banned.
Okay.
And because fighters in those gyms were approaching an upcoming fight or whatever, the fighters were allowed to compete, but they had to
Okay,
have other
because
people.
they
Because
sort of
also
conducted themselves,
You
didn't
know-
conduct themselves, so the coach took the
Yeah.
I hear what you say. Okay, it's good to know that little bit of information. I think it's important for me to know that as well, because some things that I will be getting into in the future is coaches and how they conduct themselves as well. And like I've seen like excellence like out of a lot of coaches, and yeah, sometimes maybe not so much excellence, but that goes to the media as well. Like this is why I'm back. Like, I'm not saying I'm the savior or anything like that. What I am saying is that sometimes in this environment, people are not conducting themselves at the best, and we want to see people conduct themselves in the best way possible. And if you're not conducting yourself in the best way possible, we're gonna possibly call you out on that. And that goes across whoever you are. If you're a referee, if you're a judge, if you're a media person, if you're a fighter, we want to keep this lekker. We want to keep things going lekker, and you're gonna get called out. And if you and the good thing that has happened before is that if gyms and coaches has gone down a certain way, the sport has treated them the way they were acting. You know what I mean? So if you acted like an asshole previously, then the sport is going to treat you like that way. But there is also a way for you to not come back. I don't want to say come back. I want to say it's like you can always like
You can there's penance.
there's penance, yeah.
You can.
And as martial artists, we must be forgiving. So yes,
100%.
you're gonna make a mistake as a referee and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and then you must go back. I think what is it? he said John McCarthy was having a podcast now the other day with Joe Rogan, and he was saying, was it John McCarthy or was it Herb Dean? I can't remember which one it was. And he was saying like in this thing like, yo, he definitely got this call like wrong. And they reviewed the tape and stuff like that. And only once they reviewed the tape, he had to go back. I think it was Herb Dean. He had to go back to the like because they had a
Was this now recently?
I
This
don't know.
is one of the PFL fight. Do you know? Because I was actually asked to review, and I saw it was her, and I'm like,
He went out or something. It was after the.
It was, and that was.
It wasn't PFL, but it was Jake Paul's one.
Yes, the Netflix one. Yes,
Yes,
the South African guy.
Yes, so they spoke about it. Yeah. So they
I
spoke
was
about
asked to have a look at it. I didn't get the opportunity.
But he actually went back and then he like
He made-
apologized.
he
He
made-
make amends.
he made
So
amends.
there's always that's my point. That's my point. There's always chance to make amends if you're a player, if you're a fighter, if you're a referee, the media person, whatever.
Yeah.
He's always and especially we must be that way in this game. Like we must be like, you know, okay, you messed up. How do you work forward? And I know, it must be easy if parents is like shouting, if you're judging there, referee, how did you, what do you see? You saw it completely
I
wrong.
hear like nasty stuff. You know? Like people are shouting stuff, but like I said, most of the time I block things out. You know, so I don't really pay attention. And you can say whatever you want to say, especially from the crowd and stuff. But as coaches, you can't just say whatever you want to say. And you can't address an official, right? You can say, you can make comments towards the official, but you can't direct it like at the official. Because I can penalize you. I can penalize your fighter. If you
But that's
because
But it must have come your way like indirectly before.
indirectly I've heard stuff people were saying, you know, but they won't say it directly because either they know or they are aware. Because I can penalize a fighter for a comment that his corner is making.
Yeah.
If they make a derogatory remark towards the official or towards another fighter, then I can step in and I can say, this is not allowed, there's a warning, you do it again, I'm going to deduct a point from your fighter. You know? We really don't want to do stuff like that. It's just not really not a power move or anything. We don't want to do stuff like that.
It's not a power.
So just be respectful towards the official, you know? We literally doing the best that we can under the circumstances because I tell you, when I first started officiating, and I looked at Herb Dean was my guy. He was my favorite, he's my favorite official still. Even though I respect all the others, Mark Goddard, and Big John McCarthy, and all of that, and I did the research on them. In fact, the way our structure works as officials is via Mark Goddard. So I get trained by Ferdi Basson or by Charles van Tonder, and I know that Ferdi is under Mark Goddard. So he gets training direct from
Mark Goddard.
Yeah, even on an IMF level, you know.
Okay.
So there's a line through there. So and this is the other cool thing, you know. So I've got Shaw, and you may not know these names now, and Ferdi, I've got him.
Everybody knows Ferdi Basson.
Yeah.
How can you in South Africa and you don't know Ferdi Basson? So if then you'll never watch an MMA fight or you've never.
So I've got them, you know, basically on speed dial. If I've got an MMA related query, like I can say, hey, this happened, or I'm not sure about this. I need direction or I need guidance, or this happened. My opinion is this. Tell me what your thoughts on the matter is. You see, and then they'll respond to me and they'll reach out to me and say, what.
So do you review your work afterwards, basically, like after I do like a debrief? Do you go through your own stuff?
If I have the opportunity, I do. I go through my footage. So we obviously, it's only been recently that we started having Bebo.
You've got a lot of footage of
this.
this.
Starting to have footage and stuff. So I'll watch a day later, I'll sit and I'll watch the footage of the event. Yo, bruh, when you're there, you don't remember nothing. I tell you, and I spoke to other officials also.
Why?
You don't remember nothing. Like if I'm there in the fight now, not in the fight, but if I'm in the cage,
Because you're focusing on what's
so
happening.
focused on what's happening. You don't remember, everything is blocked. Sometimes I don't even know who fought. I'm like, who did I officiate now?
Okay, because you're just so focused on the moment
Yes.
rather than, oh, you needed a punch, this, and that, the other.
focused.
Because I'm like, oh, this brother then is spinning back in the second, he did this in the first.
Yes.
That's what I'm like,
I
doing
don't
from a
see.
more media perspective. Like, you just focused on the.
I don't. I focus on the athletes and seeing that they're doing the right things, not doing illegal things. Eye pokes, claws, fingers, and all of those things in the cages. And then there's sometimes that I get up and I'm like, okay. And then I sit and I'm like, who fought now? I really don't know food and what happened in the fight, because I was like zoned in. Then the next day, the Sunday, I'll go and watch the fight. I'm like, okay, I remember this. I see that. Okay, cool. I did. Maybe I could have done a different thing. They called it, kind of thing.
We can talk about the Frank fight. We can maybe bring it up also at the bottom here or something like that. We can talk about that fight because you officiated that fight.
Yeah.
So I think you stopped that fight well when you should have, because you didn't stop it too early, because you could have stopped it a little bit earlier, but you let it go only until that guy, like you could see the guy, like he wasn't defending himself. I think his hand totally dropped, and then you're like, okay, now I came over. But because Frank had him up against the fence on a few occasions. And he was sort of getting in it, but you didn't, you let it go. And then when he finally dropped his hand, you're like, okay, brah, you're not defending yourself.
And
was that a difficult one? Because he was like getting lit up against that fence.
Honestly, that was a difficult fight, for me as an official. Because like both these fighters they were good caliber fighters.
Yes.
The other guy, and if I didn't know Frank as his name, I wouldn't have remembered his name like now.
Okay.
Like you're saying, so the other athlete from Namibia,
He's a good caliber fighter, yes.
Good. He was
but he just
solid.
got caught with some heavy kicks.
I think that was in the third round.
I don't know about that.
Third round. I don't even remember which round.
I think he was holding like his ribcage, like, I don't know. I was like, yo, did Frank just break his fingers? Because his hand sort of like dropped like this. And then you said like, no. But before that, he was like up like this.
He was giving he had solid responses to Frank, he was answering and they were going back and forth. But there was a lot of like foul play in that fight, from both guys. There was a lot of there was one point now. I called them both. I think it was in the third round. I called both of them to the center because they sneaky, man. These guys are sneaky. They do sneaky, subtle things, man. And it's so quick now. Like you really don't see it. Like I'll put my hand like here on your face and then I'll slide it to your eye.
It's just so
very sneaky, very simple, no? And it goes so quick now that there's not enough time. It's not like a direct eye poke or something. Yeah. So now I keep warning the guys. Both fighters, both of them received warnings, and I'm like, if I start the fight, I call time out, I bring them back. I said, guys, both of you, this is for both of you, right? The next illegal or if a finger stretch or eye poke or whatever that I see, or the next person that doesn't eye poke, I can't remember what my exact words were, but that person is getting penalized. I'm deducting a point, right? Because that was a title fight. It was like a title fight. So it could have been fourth round. The next guy that I see that does something, commits a foul, I'm going to deduct a point. Okay? And I still remember the other guy saying that's fair. Because they both know they were doing stuff there that wasn't really supposed to. But I wouldn't advise any fighters to commit fouls or do anything illegal. Because especially at an amateur level.
Yeah, because it sticks with you.
It sticks with you, but what I also notice is that there are things that fighters do that they can get away with. I'm not promoting, I'm not saying do things, but sometimes people do get away with
lots of things.
And I saw that in nationals. At nationals, I was shocked when I saw how these guys fight, the sneaky things that they do, man.
The thing is, you can't also stop the momentum of a fight all the time. So how do you like keep the fight clean and also like keep the fight going, like?
But I had a good chat to Shaw also afterwards and said, look, this is a title fight. You need to be more strict, you know. So I'm getting education, I'm getting feedback, you know, from my senior officials. You need to be more strict. If the guys are doing it once or twice, third time, deduct the point. This is a title fight. You can't screw around. You know, there's something on the line. It's not like the younger fighters where they still. These guys
so your difficulty,
seasoned.
Your difficulty is the what's actually going on there from illegal and is this guy's fighting fairly? Whereas I'm just looking at it from hey, that guy got lit up now. Whereas you was like, hey, this let's fight fair here. It's quite interesting.
That is, it's a different perspective.
It's totally different
I was on the
perspective.
outside as well. So I was an athlete, as in a K1 athlete, and I did jits also. I did a jits tournament also before. So I've competed in jits as well. So I've got grappling experience as well, you know. So from both perspectives, I look at things. So me having a jits background as well, when fights go to the ground, I'll tend to be a bit more like, I know what they're doing. I can see when somebody's resting and when they are actively engaging, you know. And a lot of people say, oh, once the guys go to the ground, you must stand them up. I can see this guy's working. He's doing something. He's either trying to get the guy off him, or he's trying to do a submission, or the guy from the bottom is trying to do something, you know, he's active.
Yeah, you can
so I'm not going to call it because fans are, I can see these guys are working, so I'm not just going to say, okay, stand up. But when I see there's inactivity, even if it's like for 2-3 seconds, then I'll say, okay, get up. Right? So very, very seldom you'll see me ask fighters to get up, unless I know that they're trying to take a breather or something like that. Then I'll tell them to get up. But other than that, if I see athletes are working on the ground, and I'll leave them.
Quite interesting, yeah. And you look at things from a totally different perspective than you know, I'm seeing things there. I'm just looking at it, go fight. And you worry about like there's so much more to be thinking of like in that moment. I think thanks for joining me today, man.
Thank you,
I appreciated the conversation. Maybe we can chat again in the future. Obviously, after the sport is gonna grow, and next time we can chat about a few fights that we've watched and stuff like it, and cover a different side of things. But yeah, I've appreciated it very much. I also do watch-alongs. I don't know if you've seen that. We have like 4 guys. Me, you, Ethan, and somebody else, and we watch a UFC. And we talk about it at the same time. Like sort of fight companions. It's been, those were so fun. I enjoyed it so much. But anyway, thank you for joining me, man.
Shot, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Peace. We out. Like, share, subscribe. You know this the deal. I'm gonna share your Instagram on here, so everybody can check that out.
And TikTok, because I actually started on TikTok where I started doing this.
You see, so I'm not on TikTok. That's why I don't do TikTok. Anyway, peace.
Thank you.